So I've made a few videos in the past talking about potential in-game teams for a few different characters, and I really enjoyed making those videos. So much so that I want to make a series on potential anime characters coming to the games, and talking about what team they would have for each of the main series Pokemon games, if they were in fact a part of the games. And you know that if we're going to start with any character, the first one we'd start with would have to be everyone's favorite, Ash Ketchum. Cause it's fun talking about Ash all the time. And well, you know, Ash Ketchum has a habit of drawing in all that YouTube money. But also cause, according to Entity Maze, it's National Ash Ketchum Day. It's been exactly 1 year since he managed to become Alola's very first Pokemon champion. So as a means to celebrate, a few different PokeTubers all decided to make Ash Ketchum related content today, and we'll all be using the hashtag National Ash Ketchum Day on Twitter for a few posts about him as well. But we'll talk more about that at the end of the video. For now, let me explain what I mean when I'm talking about Ash's in-game team. What's going on, guys? Hybrid Hero here. As the question implies, I just want to know about what team he'd have within the games. But what games am I talking about specifically? Because that's a very important part of the selection of Ash's team, because it limits what Pokemon he can use within the games. Well, for a character such as Lily, I was talking specifically about our potential Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon team, because she was specified to be a trainer in those games. With Ash, he could pretty much be in any of the games, if he wanted to, so I thought, why not create teams for him for every main series game? The main framework is already there with all of his anime teams, but every game would need some kind of modification, such as which 6 Kanto Pokemon do you use on his Kanto team, and what new Pokemon do you give him in his Sun and Moon team when 3 of his Pokemon are exclusive to the Ultra versions of those games. Things like that. For Ash specifically, I want to go over every main series game, rather than region, but when I continue this series in the future with characters such as Brock, Gary, and Misty, I'll only be talking about region specific teams. But since Ash has so many Pokemon, and because it's Ash, we can give him a variety of different teams depending on the game. Starting off with, of course, Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue. In Kanto, Ash's Pokemon were Pikachu, Butterfree, Pidgeot, Bulbasaur, Charizard, Squirtle, Kingler, Primeape, Raticate, Muk, and Tauros. He did go on to catch more Kanto Pokemon after, such as Snorlax and Lapras, but those were all caught after the Indigo League, and the Orange Islands weren't a part of these games. Between all of these Pokemon, obviously Pikachu is going to make the list, and it's going to make the list every time, so that's the first and last time I'm going to mention it as a potential option. His 3 starter Pokemon, Bulbasaur, Charizard, and Squirtle, are also guaranteed on his team if you ask me, since they are starter Pokemon and very iconic Pokemon to his team. He even called them back specifically to use against Brandon in the Battle Frontier, and I'd keep them all in those forms as that's how they appeared at the end of the Indigo League. Now Pidgeot and Butterfree are also iconic Pokemon, but since they released them, I don't want to use them on this team, but don't worry, I do have plans for them soon. Raticate was also incredibly temporary, and Primeape, let's be honest, has been just as temporary as Raticate at this point. That leaves Kingler, Muk, and Tauros, and for the sake of typing, I think Tauros and Muk will be his best options for this team, making his Red and Blue team Pikachu, Bulbasaur, Charizard, Squirtle, Muk, and Tauros. Now obviously, all of these games came out well before Ash had any of these Pokemon, but since this is speculative and just for fun, I think a team like this is fine. Besides, if Ash was in the games, this could just be foreshadowing as to what Pokemon he'd have in the future of the anime. With Pokemon Yellow on the other hand, I would in fact swap Muk and Tauros for Butterfree and Pidgeot. While this team canonically makes no sense to the anime, these were Ash's first 6 Pokemon, and seeing as how Pokemon Yellow is the special edition of Pokemon, and practically the Ash Ketchum version of the game, I think there's no better team in the game for Ash than this. And yes, before anyone asks, his Pokemon Green team would be the same as his Red and Blue team. I know, you. I know you're in the comment section. Get out of there. No. Moving on to Gold and Silver, Ash didn't catch that many Johto Pokemon during his time in this region. I would make his team in these games be Pikachu, Bayleaf, Cyndaquil, Totodile, his shiny Noctowl, and Heracross. Heracross is his first catch in the region, and arguably his strongest Johtomon, so it definitely deserves a spot. His shiny Noctowl is the OG shiny, and another staple among his captures, as well as a prominent member of his team at this time. And of course, Totodile, Cyndaquil, and Bayleef are again starter Pokemon. Now, though Cyndaquil has become a Quilava at this point in the anime, I'm keeping it a Cyndaquil because it never evolved into Quilava in the actual Johto saga. He does have one more Johtomon at this time, that being Phanpy. And while it would be nice to include it on his Crystal team, I'm going to do something odd and swap out Ash's Heracross for Larvitar for his Crystal team. Now, though Larvitar wasn't officially Ash's Pokemon at any point in the anime, it was such a memorable part of his journey in Johto that I felt like it had to be included on his team. And honestly, I don't remember a single trainer that uses the Larvitar family in those games. So hey, if you battle Ash before Mount Silver, you'd know that Larvitar is in the game somewhere. And the reason why I decided to keep Noctowl instead of Heracross is because Noctowl will show the players that the shiny feature, which was new at the time, isn't something that's exclusive to the Red Gyarados at the Lake of Rage, which was something that many people at the time thought was true. As we make our way over to Ruby and Sapphire, we have one of the easiest teams to come up with on this list. Pikachu, Swellow, Sceptile, Corphish, Torkoal, and Glalie. Just a copy and paste of Ash's actual Hoenn team, cause these are the only Hoenn Pokemon that he caught, and for the most part, the only Pokemon that he used during the Hoenn series. Yes, his Sceptile was still a Grovyle till the Battle Frontier, but I'm counting that as a part of the Hoenn anime series. And though the Battle Frontier weren't in these games, I think it's fine to have Sceptile here. With Emerald, however, the Battle Frontier becomes a big part of the games, and I want to honor that by giving Ash some of the Pokemon that were featured during this time, his Donphan and Aipom. This is the series where Ash's Phanpy evolved and really started to get serious with the battles as a Donphan, and was even a main member of his team. He also caught Aipom during this time, which again was such a big part of the series that she even followed Ash all the way to Sinnoh. So yeah, we're gonna go with the 6 Pokemon that you saw most prominently in the Battle Frontier opening: Pikachu, Aipom, Donphan, Swellow, Corphish, and Sceptile. What's cool about this is he has 1 Gen 1 Pokemon, 2 Gen 2 Pokemon, and 3 Gen 3 Pokemon on his team. Definitely intentional by the writers of the anime. Sinnoh! Well, unlike Ruby and Sapphire, we have a few options here with Diamond and Pearl. At the beginning of Diamond and Pearl, Ash went to Sinnoh with Pikachu and Aipom, and at the end of the Diamond and Pearl series, all of the Sinnoh Pokemon that Ash owned were Staraptor, Torterra, Infernape, Buizel, Gliscor, and Gible. So of course, the obvious team members for him in this team would be Pikachu, Staraptor, Torterra, Infernape, and Buizel. Though Chimchar was Paul's Pokemon at the beginning of the anime, Ash caught Chimchar 50 episodes or so into the almost 200 episode series, so I think it's fine to let him have Infernape. But the real question lies in his 6th member. Between Gliscor and Gible, who are we gonna give to him as his 6th Pokemon? I'm gonna give him Ambipom. Look, just hear me out, alright? I know this makes no sense, but the writers actually did Ambipom dirty in the anime. I know Aipom never even evolved under Ash's care, and there's a whole bunch of things wrong with this, but this was gonna be the Pokemon that was used to show the evolutions that all Pokemon got in the 4th gen, alright? It was gonna be the one to show it on Ash's team, I mean. Did you just think it would be cool if in-game Diamond and Pearl Ash had his Ambipom in his team at least? Come on, I gotta do Ambipom some justice here. In Platinum, his team would be the same, but without a doubt, I'd switch Ambipom here with Gliscor, making it what I'd say is his definitive Sinnoh team. Gible was obviously a cool Pokemon as well, but not as much of a staple compared to the rest of these guys in my eyes anyways. But more importantly, Cynthia has a Garchomp, so this Pokemon family has enough clout with her alone. And I think Gliscor could use some more time in the spotlight. Spotlight, get it? Gen 4 anime guys, got it? Got me? Ooh, this is for you, man. Going through the Pokemon Ash caught in Unova, we have quite a good number. That being Oshawott, Pignite, Snivy, Scraggy, Leavanny, Palpitoad, Boldore, and Crocodile. So right away, we have to include the 3 starters on this team, cause again, they're the starter Pokemon of the region. As for his next 2 Pokemon, despite the good number of options here, I think Unfezant and Krookodile are the only two viable options. Look, I'll admit it, alright, I didn't really watch the black and white anime, so I don't really know how all these Pokemon performed. But from what I've seen on Twitter and all, it looks like these remaining four didn't do too well. I think Leavanny had a few moments here and there, and personally, Leavanny's a Pokemon I really like. But still, Unfezant is a regional bird, which pretty much guarantees a place for it on Ash's team at this point in time. And Krookodile is the powerhouse of his team. There's no way we're getting rid of him. Black 2 and White 2 had the addition of Pokemon from other regions into the regional Pokedex of these games, so Ash could bring over pretty much any Pokemon from his previous regions and add it to his team. But Ash decides to call over only one Pokemon to join his party, and that's Charizard. Oh, the love that Charizard gets. Don't get me wrong, I love Charizard myself, but this was the point where I personally thought it was overkill. And though I'm saying that, it makes sense to only add Charizard to Ash's Black 2 and White 2 team for this reason. And I think we'd stick to the root of the anime and swap out Unfezant for Charizard. 2 fire types, yes, but if I'm not mistaken, these are the main 6 Pokemon he used at this time. And also, he still gets to keep Krookodile, who he definitely still needs. Going to X and Y, seeing how simple these games are, it only makes sense that we're gonna have a simple team for Ash here. Pikachu, Greninja, Talonflame, Hawlucha, Goodra, and Noivern. They say less is more, and this was definitely one of Ash's best teams. And these are the only Pokemon he caught during this time, so they're the only ones we're using for his X and Y team. I know he's lacking a Mega Evolution here, and Ash Greninja wasn't programmed to these games either, but I think it's fine. It's a team that's built better than most of the NPC teams in these games anyways, and a strong team in general. And now we have a genuine challenge on our hands. You may initially think that coming up with a team for Ash and Sun and Moon is easy, but think again. Take a look at his Alolan team. It's Pikachu, Rowlet, Incineroar, Duskform Lycanroc, Naganadel, and Melmetal. 2 of these 6 Pokemon were only in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, and 1 wasn't even in the Alolan games at all. So for Sun and Moon at least, we only have 3 members as a base for his team. Pikachu and his 2 starters, Rowlet and Incineroar. So who are we gonna add for his last 3 team members? Well, see, Ash had Rockruff in the anime very early on, and most people thought that was gonna evolve into Midday Lycanroc till Duskform Lycanroc was revealed. But since Rockruff was already on his team then, I think it's fine to have Rockruff on his team, and I'd personally have it as a Midday Lycanroc for now, even if he doesn't actually own a Lycanroc of that form. But if you have an issue with that, you can just treat this as Rockruff slot. One other Pokemon I think we can add for now is Alolan Ninetales, as a substitute for Naganadel. Now looking at the Pokemon that Ash kinda owned, we have Nebby of course, and while that was more a part of his team than Snowy, if we give Ash Solgaleo, that quite literally breaks the game's story. So that's out of question. And while Snowy wasn't his, he did take care of it for one episode, and it's a Alolan form of course a Kanto Pokemon, and his friend's Pokemon. Now he obviously wouldn't be friends with the same Lily we know in the games, but she doesn't have her Alolan Vulpix in the game, so I thought maybe Ash could represent it in the game for her. Then I don't know, it's just a cool addition to his team if you ask me, especially with the addition of his last teammate, which I know I'm probably gonna get a lot of comments and potentially hate about, but seeing as how Melmetal isn't in these games at all, I think the only appropriate substitute is in fact Ash Greninja. They're both Pokemon that only Ash has in the anime, and Pokemon that you can only get in a certain way in the games. On top of that, Ash didn't have a water type in Alola, so it fits well in terms of typing. And most importantly, Ash Greninja was given to you as a Pokemon in Pokemon Sun and Moon. Which, I mean, it doesn't make sense as to how you'd have it when he battles you, but these are the only games it's in. It's exclusively in these games, and not even X and Y, so it definitely deserves a spot on the team. And to solve the whole Ash Greninja gift issue, if you manage to beat Ash first and beat him, then maybe he'd give you Ash Greninja as a gift, and that's how you receive it, rather than as a mystery gift. I think that's way cooler. Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon is a lot easier, as Duskform Lycanroc and Naganadel are in these games. We'll swap out Midday Lycanroc and Alolan Ninetales for his anime team members, and keep Ash Greninja on the team for all of the points we previously mentioned, seeing as how Melmetal is again completely absent from these games. Right before we move on to Sword and Shield, I want to quickly go over each of the remakes and the modifications to Ash's teams in those games. For Fire Red and Leaf Green, taking Ash's Red and Blue team, I'd swap out Tauros with Snorlax. I know this makes his team exceedingly similar to Red's, but Snorlax was such a big member of his team from the Orange Island onwards, and it hasn't got its time to shine yet, and I think this is the only time for it since it's a cancelled game that takes place after he catches Snorlax in the anime. And as I'm currently writing the script, I'm only now remembering that the Let's Go games exist. So I guess for Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, we take his Fire Red and Leaf Green team and swap out Muck with someone. I was thinking Lapras since Red doesn't have his traditional team in these games, but hey, though again it makes no sense, it'll probably be Melmetal, since again, he is the only one to own one in the anime, and I think he'd technically be the only NPC to own one as well. With Heart Gold and Soul Silver, we'll take his Gold and Silver team, and Cyndaquil will evolve into Quilava, and we'd swap out Noctowl for Donphan. At this point, I don't think the shiny future needs to be shown off all too much, and Donphan's there, and more of a powerhouse for the team if you ask me. And of course, with the Mega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, his Ruby and Sapphire team will stay exactly the same. So finally coming to Sword and Shield, you guys are gonna hate me for this, but I don't actually have a team for him here. Sure, I can take his existing Journeys team and make that into his Sword and Shield team, but Dragonite isn't even in this game, so we have to work around the Galar Dex. I do think Lucario will be on there for sure at this point, and I do think he'll get a Rillaboom as well. But honestly, I don't think there's any point of coming up with the Sword and Shield team, cause, well, we just don't have enough info to work with here. But if I had to pick 4 of the strong Pokemon that are in the base games of Sword and Shield to give to Ash that aren't featured in the expansion pass, I'd probably go with as many old heavy hitters as possible. And that team would look something like Pikachu, Lucario, Charizard, Snorlax, Hawlucha, and Goodra. I literally just looked at the Pokemon that were in the base games of Sword and Shield that he owns, and which Pokemon I consider to be some of the best from that list, and put them together. So this team is admittedly very flimsy in terms of reasoning. Of course, Gengar and Galarian Farfetch'd are in the games, but Lucario in my eyes is the only safe bet from his new Pokemon to put on a team, cause we don't know whether Ash will bring back his old Pokemon to use or not, or even how many new Pokemon he'll catch in Pokemon Journeys. But if you do want to hear me talk about my ideas and speculation, and just what Pokemon I think he'd catch in this series, then stay tuned on Thursday, as I'll be going over every Pokemon that I think he'll capture in Pokemon Journeys, as well as the Pokemon that I want him to capture in a discussion video. And there we have it, guys. Those are what I would have as all of Ash's in-game teams for every main series Pokemon game. I hope you enjoyed. Now 2 weeks from now, I will be continuing the series, and I'll be showing you guys what I have in store for Gary's team. But those teams, and every team moving forward from now on this series, will be region specific and not game specific. Ash just got some special treatment. And speaking of Ash, like I said, this was my submission for National Ash Ketchum Day. If you want to see more Ash Ketchum related videos today, you can head on over to NTT Maze, Lumious Trainer Zax, or the PokeRaps channels, as I'm sure they'll all be having their own Ash Ketchum videos out for today. Or if you want, you can watch some of my older Ash Ketchum videos. One of my most recent ones, as well as one of my personal favorite videos on the channel, is Ash Ketchum, the boy that redefined failure. It's a look at Ash's character and what we can learn from him as individuals, and just a deeper look at the definitions of success and failure. A video that I hope gives a deeper meaning to my content and Pokemon as a whole, and one that I hope really helps people grow in some way. So do be sure to check that out when you can. Thanks for watching, guys. Again, I hope you enjoyed. Take care of yourselves, have a wonderful day, and I will see you over on the next video, alright? Later.